Hi everyone. In this video I want to go over ways that you can use the decor items that are preset in the tool to achieve some really cool things on a garment. Some of these things are kind of a challenge to paint from scratch, and also they can be extremely fun and helpful if you're not a digital painter or don't really have aspirations to paint anything yourself. There's a lot of stuff you can add to a garment to just make it kind of cool. So one thing that I do right away when I want to add things on to, like buttons or, any cool print things, is I like to put onto the garment what I call an invisible detail. And I typically put this onto the torso layer. So this garment's kind of special because it has an upper and lower torso part, but just whatever garment you're making, pants, skirt, whatever, just put it on the main layer. And so what you're going to do is you're going to go into details and grab a square, and you're going to stretch it out to the boundary boxes of the workspace. Okay. Oh, excuse me. Oh my goodness. I'm having quite the body day. Okay. And you're going to turn down all of these elements. We don't want to see outline. We don't need glare or shadow. And we want to turn off color and texture opacity. And so what this becomes is what we like to call an invisible detail. And basically it's just an extra layer workspace in the tool. So we've created a tool workspace. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to the decor items. We've got prints and we've got items. So we're going to work mostly with these two sections, okay? So in the print items here, we've got a lot of kind of, random things. I'm not really seeing a ton of elements here that will look amazing with this garment and really enhance it. But one thing on here that caught my eye that I feel like I can kind of manipulate and use is this kind of shell design. I know you're thinking like, what, where, why, how, what? So here's what I see. I see a shape. I don't see a shell. I see a shape. I see a kind of interesting shape that I can utilize. And so one thing I'm going to do right away is I'm going to adjust the colors to be more kind of what oh, that's too dark. Kind of what I want. I think that's the same. Yeah. So now I see a shape that's kind of in alignment with what I want. And I'm going to make sure my I've got it selected here. With prints, the only thing you can do with prints currently in the game is you can adjust how big or small they are, and you can also kind of use these yellow dots to kind of squeeze and get some interesting other shapes. And so that's what I saw. When I saw the shape, I saw something that I could perhaps manipulate to use up here as like a textural detail into the garment. And as you reduce the size, it does sort of, see how it's not blurred when it's selected, but it's blurred when it is. There's something in the distortion of it that sometimes happens, but that's okay, because I'm kind of just looking for a design element into the garment. I'm not looking at it needing to be perfect and crisp. Because what I'm going to do is I'm still going to kind of change some stuff here. So say I've got one print down. I want to copy this. I want to keep this and copy it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just select duplicate. And then I'm going to get another one. And I'm going to get another one. Okay. I'm kind of adjust these a bit because they're not going to all be uniform. Okay. And I'm going to have you trust the process here because there's some cool things we're going to do here. Okay. And as it gets closer here, it's definitely going to be maybe even just different enough because as it moves along the garment, it's not going to be exact. Oh wait, I didn't mean to do that. They've got this nice little undo feature if you do something you didn't mean to do. Maybe this one's down a bit more. This one's over a bit more. Okay. So now I've created this kind of cool something right there, right? Now, 6 is usually the limit of how many prints you can have on here. So if, say I wanted to add something else, I can't currently. But what they've provided for us in this tool, which is actually really phenomenal and is going to let me do even more with this design idea, is I can click on these dots here on the print layer within my square, and I can say copy as brush. Okay. And now if I go in here, look, I can delete all these prints, and I can select something new, right? Because let me actually resize this down so it's not in our face. But now if I go into brush 1, see, that's where all those prints have gone. And now it's freed up. Excuse my cough. I had a cold, so I'm still getting a little coffee. But now, like, say if I had wanted to do something, you know, I don't know how this looks far away, so I don't know if I'm going to keep this. I'm just trying to show you how you can use it right here. But see, now if I go back, actually that's not too bad. I want to keep that. Okay. And I want to not have it cross over that edge, so kind of squeezed it here. I can kind of squeeze it over here too. Okay. Wow, so now I've created some interesting texture stuff. Now, something here, I want to enhance this top layer of prints. So what I'm going to do is, remember, this is all on our brush layer here. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create a new brush, or I'm going to take this brush and I'm going to put it above everything. So now I have a brush that is going to, whatever I paint with this brush is going to be on top of everything below it, which is what I want, right? So if I want to add any other kind of you know, fun stuff with the brush, I can do that. I just remembered when I was saying about the brushes, something that has to do with opacity and painting on an invisible detail, which can really interfere with what I'm about to show you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you just to ignore what I just did with the brush, moving the brush up, just for right now. We can come back to that. But on the actual brush layer where we have these cool print items, we're going to stay on that brush layer. And what we're going to do is we're going to get the fuzzy brush here, and we're going to turn opacity and flow down pretty low because we want a very gentle amount of painting with not that much force with the flow. Because what I want to do is I kind of want to create a gradation. I want to kind of create like a bit more dark on the bottom or top. I don't know. We're going to play around and figure it out. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get, my brush is too big. I'm going to get down even smaller. Let's go down to like a 3. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my darker value. And I'm going to go onto the print here. I might increase the flow and opacity a bit because that was a bit too low. And this color, you can see it's showing up, but it's not showing. It's not dark enough. So let's go here. Let's go darker. Yeah, there we go. Now you can see I'm sort of painting. And I don't want to go too far into the painting process to not be able to undo it. So let's view it from a distance and see. Yeah, see, I'm creating some, I kind of like that. And I might want to actually paint onto the lower part too, just to give it some shadow. See how it's changing so everything's going to have kind of like this enhancement to it. You hear all my clicks. I'm actually doing this with a mouse instead of a pen. It's subtle, but I like what's happening here. Because by doing this, by enhancing it, when you put a print onto your garment, when you do this extra step of kind of making sure you've gone back to create cohesiveness with color variation in the print and shadows and highlights where it's on the garment, it becomes less of a, standing on top of your garment decor item to being sort of more of an integrated, integral part of the garment. That it looks more natural, that it was meant to be there, that it was, purposeful. Okay. And something that's kind of interesting to do, and again, this might not work, so I'm just going to test this out with you. But something that's kind of interesting to do with pinks, when you have a highlight, instead of going to white, or like a lighter pink, sometimes just a little bit of a yellow can, that's too bright, it has to be kind of like not too much of the white yellow, but the bright. See, just a little streak of this yellow in here can kind of really brighten up this, give it kind of a highlight, but a color difference that's really harmonious and kind of pleasing to the eye. You'll have to investigate some color theory stuff to learn more about this. For some reason though, but pink and yellow seems to be quite a lovely combo together. And now if I look at it from far away, I've got some more kind of visual contrasts and textural changes that are kind of interesting. And another thing I might do to integrate this more into my garment is I might go down to this torso layer. Let's create a new brush in the torso layer. And I might consider integrating some of these highlight colors and shadows into the garment underneath it. And so what I mean by that is like I might want to increase a little bit of highlights here, but then I might want to go and create some shadow contrast underneath where I've got these elements sitting on, just because like if I had a design element sitting on top of my garment, it would have some 3D texture to it, which means that, maybe you go in and you help it, See, it's just so much more enhanced. And so now I've created something kind of really interesting. I didn't paint any of that. I didn't have to hand paint any of that. I've utilized things that are within the tool, and now I've made some kind of cool, fun, visually interesting things on my garment. Okay? Another place that I see kind of where I want to add some fun details is kind of down. I want to enhance this waistline a bit more. So a couple of things I might want to do is let's make sure we're on the torso layer. So I'm on the torso layer. They have these things with lines and edges. So lines are, well, I'll show you the difference. So an edge is over here because it has to do with like the garment itself. So if you select edge, click on edge here, you'll see all these little lines showing up here. Because what these lines are doing is showing me everywhere that I actually have a point in line. Okay? So everywhere I have a point in line is potential to be an edge. And since I really only want to focus right here at the bottom, I'm only going to select these yellow dots where the new edge will be. So I'm going to go ahead and select here. And before I kind of leave, because I have an edge that's going to go, I want it to seem like it's seamlessly, continuously wrapping around the garment. Always make sure you select extend edges, start and end. Okay. And I can just hit OK for now because I can go back and fix this. But let's just look at what does that look like from afar. Well, to me, it's obviously the wrong color, and I don't want a straight line right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back. Now that I've kind of previewed what's going on, you'll see it just added to the edge layer here in the torso. I'm going to go in edge. I'm going to select that edge. This is where it is. And I'm going to go, look, they have all these different design things you can pick. They have all these like different little, excuse my cough. Again, I'm so sorry. But they have these really cool, and I can change how big or how small it is. I can change if it's, very subtle or dark. And then over here, this one comes with a couple different colors, so I could just do something like that that's more contrasty. Let's make this more bright. And then let's go ahead and preview it. What does it look like that? Well, that looks kind of interesting. It's dark, but not super dark. I kind of like that. But one thing you'll notice is we have some shadows. Look at, I have some shadows painted on, and the edge is unfortunately down here at the bottom. And I can't seem to, be able to drag it up. So what I do for the edge, unless I can manipulate and get it up here, I will want to go back into the eraser and get it kind of small, and I'll want to go onto the brush layer that's kind of covering my edge that I just made, and I want to very gently, so you don't want to, you got to be kind of gentle, and you might want to not do it all in one thing. You might want to do it in little erased bunches, just so that if you do go cross over, you can easily not have to, waste time undoing everything. I'm just gonna I'm gonna go a little bit faster just for this, but I might want to be more jagged, so because this is not, consistent. Anyway, so now if I go back, see, it's more pronounced. It's not lost in that shadow. But again, talking about shadows and enhancing stuff, if I create a new brush and I put it underneath the edge right here, so the edge is on top, I might want to go into my brush. Again, opacity and flow is, I'm in the fuzzy brush. I might want to create some shadows closer to the edge here, like underneath, see how it's sort of popping out a bit more, but it's not on the shadow, or, you know, on the edge, the shadow. Like I'm creating some shadow contrast without it being on top of the edge. It's a little bit dark, but you get what I'm saying, right? And that's okay. Say I don't want to erase what I just did because it's exactly where I want it to be. But you can go in here and you can turn the opacity down on the brush layer that you just did. And yeah, see, now I have more details. It doesn't make sense to me though that it's just cut off right here. I might want to go into my points and lines and just sort of create like a small area where this pops out a bit more. Okay. All right, I like that. I like that. That looks like a nice kind of bodice decor thing. Okay. Gosh, excuse me for my cough. I just seriously can't wait for this to be completely healed. Okay. So I want to move on to the sleeve. So if I want to add some cool stuff onto the sleeve here, I want to go get its own. It has to, again, the torso layer will go underneath the sleeve. So it's important if you want to add things to your sleeve that you're having its own. We're just going to go ahead and clone the style up here. I think it was. Yeah, square. Yeah, so you want to have its own, it needs its own little shelf thing. Something I might want to do here is add some ribbon and bows. So we'll go into decor, we'll look at the items, there's some bows. Maybe I want to have a cute little bow over here. Dark. Oh, this was a bit dark. Let's make this a bit brighter. Yeah, that's a bit better. So you see though how it's kind of matchy, kind of blending in, and I can't see it very good. Something I like to do, a little trick that I like to do, is I like to clone the bow and then drag it underneath. Kind of line it up. And then I like to make it dark, like a dark color, just to create like a shadow contrast. So now look at it's popping out like a ton more. And I don't have to paint like onto the sleeve or anything there. I might want to do, say I want to add another item here. If I just click on these shapes here without saying add a new item, it's just going to overwrite the, you know, the layer that I have here. So always make sure you select new item and then grab what you want. Oh, it might be more fun. This is more kind of fitting with the theme of the garment. I'm trying to see how would I do this? What am I thinking? Kind of like that. And then okay. And this is going to be an important thing that I do, which is I want to make these items into a brush layer. And I'll show you why, because I do want to kind of paint and enhance on this. And then also I need to edit this because this is going to come around here, but see how it's sticking out? Okay. So let's get into how would we manipulate and edit this, and let me just double check that it's kind of where I want it in here. It's kind of big, but I'm going to make it work. Okay, so we're going to copy those items as a brush, and I'm going to delete all of this, because again, everything's on this brush layer. Okay. But now I'm going to go in with my eraser and I'm going to get rid of, except like where it's kind of, yeah, we're going to zoom in. We're going to kind of, here we go. So it's here kind of sticking out, but so it looks like it's wrapping around, but it's, you know, it's its own thing. And on this brush layer, I want to enhance the shadows and highlights on here. So I'm going to make my brush a little bit smaller, and I'm going to come in, and I'm going to be painting a bit more on here. Because I really want this to stand out and be unique and a bit different. And then remember how we used a bit of yellow up here? So we're going to add maybe a little bit of yellow at the peak of this right there. Okay. See, and now it's looking, it just looks, I don't know, it has more texture, it looks more realistic. And again, same principles as I did over here. Excuse my cough again, I apologize. I'm going to go on to this upper sleeve layer. See, it's highlighted here. And underneath where I've just painted this stuff, this is going to have an effect on the garment. It's not just sitting on top of the sweater. It's going to impact what's happening underneath on the fabric itself. Okay, it's going to give it some realism. We're going to have to kind of make sure that this fabric is reflecting that underneath. Okay, because there's some tension here. There might even be a little bit of tension kind of going up where this is pulling on the fabric. And again, if you want to make your garments have these kind of unique, realism, these are these extra steps that you might want to pursue. Okay. And so this shadow's not working right here as much anymore. So I might want to figure out where did I paint that one and make some adjustments so that it makes sense and is more supporting, you know, what I'm trying to do here. Where is the shadow here? Oh no, it's not. It's sometimes this creative process is a bit of a journey. Let's see. Okay. For some reason, that was just too dark in this corner here. But you see what I mean? Like, you want to be mindful of these things as you're adding. Don't just slap, you know, I mean, you can just slap pattern on here, but these are the things that are going to separate your garments, you know, from being, you know, just like everybody else's. This is what's going to be. And again, like I shaded this garment in another video, but now that I've added a little bit of these yellow highlights, you know, into my, you know, into these item and decor things, I might want to go back in and make sure it's kind of consistent in a few other spots, just so that it's, you know, it makes sense, you know, what's happening here makes sense, right? And same thing with this ribbon now. Now that I've got this and then I've got some enhancements going, I might want to just triple check that I have, you know, that this is behaving appropriately. Maybe I want this to be a little bit more of like see how it's kind of dull and gray here? Maybe I want it to be staying in this pink, not be so dull and gray. Maybe I want to punch up a bit of the shadow on this side, you know. Maybe down here I want it to be darker. Maybe I want it to be, you know, much brighter and it's pink up here. Maybe I want it to be darker down here. This is why I like to keep my opacity and flow low though, because I don't want to just gangbusters in on my coloring. I want to make sure that I have control over what I'm doing. And then this actually might be, maybe this is a bit darker actually. Maybe it's not quite. Again, these are very subtle things, but and honestly, I don't know, it just feels good to kind of own some of this a bit more. So now my ribbons, you know, it's very subtle, but I'm just trying to go over, like, you know, ways that you can really get in there and go crazy. What else can we do? Oh, we haven't so we added some prints, we've added some items on this lower sleeve, and you don't always have to use the invisible detail. So like I'll show you, like here I won't well, actually, wait, do I have to? No, I don't have to use the invisible detail on the bottom. Let's oh, that could be interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as like a, again, these are just ways to not have to paint, you know, to create some fun things here for your garment. We'll just duplicate these over. These are just some fun ways to decorate on your garment that you might, you know, taking elements that you might not consider using, and then let's just make it happen, right? All right. And again, unfortunately, these items are underneath our painted layer. So sometimes you can, I don't know why, sometimes you can and can't, but luckily this time I can just move all these items up here. And now I can sort of see better. They should be kind of underneath. And then let's go ahead and go down. Let's preview it. But yeah, so now I've enhanced something on the cuff that looks kind of fun. If I do want to do a little painting on this to just make sure that I'm staying consistent with where the shadows are placed on here, I might just kind of a little bit paint over the side here. Maybe I want a little bit of that yellow. Okay. So these are some ways that I found to enhance my garment with the tools that are provided, but, you know, just thinking outside the box, you know, there are just so many things that you can achieve with the tools that are provided, especially if you're not really one who wants to, you know, reinvent the wheel and paint. I know the flowers get used a lot. Where's this? Oh yeah, let me just show you one more thing. We'll just copy that as a brush and let me show you. I know that the rose gets used a lot. let's hide the model. Let's use this as like a paint. Oh, where am I? Prints. Let's get 2 prints on here to show you what I'm talking about. These 2 get used a lot. And I want to show you some tricks with these guys, okay? So for example, with the rose, say I had wanted to have a pink rose, you know, let's just keep it all pink. Okay. And then this one, let's do like more, well, let's keep that yellow. Let's keep this. More purple. Okay. So we've got some very basic things, right? If you want to paint on these things, let's just make it a brush. And so ways you could enhance these guys is you go over into brushes. Again, make sure your opacity and flow is kind of low, okay? And you can go ahead and create more contrast here in the, in the petals. You can create more contrast in the petals. You can create multicolors. Say you wanted the rose to be, all kinds of different colors. You can come in here and paint each one of these petals. Just go over it with your brush and get them all different. Again, I'm just sort of sticking with just the palette I was using. I'm not really deviating because I just want to trying to just quickly show this. But I'll show you from a distance now. Oh, she's in the way. That's okay. No big worries. Let's if you ever have a brush and you have to move it, just hit transform. Okay. We'll move it down here. But now you can see, look at how much more enhanced the rose is. We've given it a lot of contrast. And same thing with this purple flower. With purples, I like to do a lot of blues. I like to add a lot more contrast. But you can see here, I'm just going to do this really quick because I do need to end the video. But I just want to show you guys that you don't have to stay, stuck with just the options that are here. If you just take a few minutes to, to play around with this stuff, there's some really cool things that you can do that'll make, when you're adding these to purses or bags or shirts or, whatever it is that you're going to be painting that's going to be fun for you, that's going to express your style, your signature, but you're not really much of a painter, you're not really feeling comfortable painting a flower from scratch, well, then don't, come over here, grab these prints, put it where you want to on your garment, make it into a brush, and have fun and just shade almost like if it was a coloring book, or, just follow the lines, follow the places where you can just naturally, enhance the contrasts or, whatever. And here we might go, we might add some as we get into the center of it. right? I might. Okay, as you can see, you could really go down a rabbit hole and just paint forever with this. But, you know, look at the difference in the rows now. I mean, it's significant, the things that you can do in here. So I just really want to encourage you all to think about your options, you know, as you're creating your garments and you want to place some decor items on here, you know, there are ways to get them to be unique and fun and interesting. So I hope that this has helped, and if you have any questions, let me know in the comments, or you can join the Pocket Styler Studio Tool fan group. We're a fan group. We're not employees of Pocket Styler or Nordcurrent. We're just casual players who have found fun making stuff with the tool. And yeah, hope this helped.